Nigeria. Let us see how South Africa will look when you mark 60 years of independence. There is no South African who denies the corruption of our government. There is no South African who denies the lawlessness in South Africa. There is no South African who denies what is wrong in our country. There is no South African who denies the brain drain that South Africa is suffering with our experts leaving. There is no South African who denies that. But you are talking to a South African who is in South Africa because he believes in his country, because he believes in his people. If this country should ever go under, my brother, I will go under with her. Do you know why? Because this is what God, when I say God, I mean the generator, organizer, and dispenser of reality. This is my assignment. And this is what separates me from an animal. That as a man I create and enjoy the fruits of my creation, and an animal will migrate and go and reap where he has not sown. I am in my country and I am part of the solution. And I will teach my children to be part of the solution. That when South Africa is prosperous and that all of her children are profiting from her, then you go and travel. When South Africa no longer needs your voice, when South Africa no longer needs your strength, when South Africa no longer needs your presence, then you go and travel. Because when you get there, you will be admired, you will be respected, you will be treated with dignity. If not, then you can, with pride, say, I am going home to reap the fruit of my labors and my father's labors and my mother's labors and my grandparents' labors and my great-grandparents' labors going back. That's what separates the animal from a man. You see those Nigerians who are in Nigeria, working tirelessly seeking to extract a living from the from the debilitating circumstances that they find themselves in. Such willpower to seek to see it through, regardless of the circumstances. That is what godhood looks like. Godhood is not shiny. Godhood is not a shiny car. Godhood is not a big bank account. Godhood is not a big mouth. Godhood is willpower. And a godlike individual reaps where he has sown, and an animalistic individual will reap where he has not sown. That is what separates us from the animals. When I look at an African, I see myself. When you go all over the world, they don't know that I'm South African. They don't know that you're Nigerian. All they know is that you are African. Until you present your documents and declare where it is that you're from. So when I say that the African man is a laughing stock, I mean that the African man is a laughing stock. Because he does not have a plan for his portion of Africa. He doesn't have a plan for Africa. But he has opinions about other people's countries. I stitched a video of a brother who had an opinion of my country and sought to redirect his energy, and you called it hate. The same way that if I criticized one of my children and I told them that you are not intelligent enough, instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to go and study more, I'm going to experience more, I'm going to shut the fuck up more and listen more, I'm going to study more, I'm going to learn more so that I can become more intelligent, the child will misconstrue that as hate, and that will affect their self-esteem. This is why I say that African men have the temperament of children. I did not lie when I said that there is a contingent of Nigerian people who are contending with sharks in the middle of the Mediterranean, only to bow before white men and white women, praying and hoping for salvation. I did not lie. I did not lie that the salvation that they seek is salvation from their own brothers and sisters. If you do not get Nigeria out the mud, who will? If I do not get South Africa out the mud, who do I expect to do it? The experts who are leaving to reap where they have not sown. It's animalistic, brother. Animals are driven by hunger and desperation and impulse. Many of you are driven by hunger, desperation, and impulse. Whereas a God-like being, which is what should separate us from an animal, will reap the rewards of his creation. And last but certainly not least, this migrant attitude that we have as African people is doing no harm, is doing more harm to us than it is doing to everybody else. African children are being displaced not by white people, not by Indian people, not by anybody else, but their fathers. Because their fathers lack impulse control and have no real willpower. They are not still. Disconnecting the fruit of their own loins, their children, from their heritage, and then claiming to be proud to be Nigerian or proud to be South African or proud to be Congolese from a distance. Who are you kidding? Love is not love from a distance, my friend. It is pretense. The Nigerians who love Nigeria are close to her in moments when Nigeria herself is on her knees, working with her, day in, day out, seeking to lift her up. I will never do that to South Africa, my mother. The day she gets onto her knees, she will need my voice. She will need me to speak for her. She will need me to think for her. She will need me to fight for her. And I will show my children a better way. No child of mine is going to go and become a two-bit hustler in someone else's street when they can learn to be, having seen from their father, from their mothers. I have 2 wives. What it means to be a nation builder. My father is buried here, and I loved him. My mother is buried here. I loved her. My grandparents, and I have been blessed with a father who never displaced me. I can go and visit their graves and feel connected. Many of your children, because of your lack of courage, will never have that blessing. I wonder if you care. I'm a Pan-Africanist, brother. And I truly believe that we cannot do this without each other. But I don't need you here. I need you at home, and you need me at home. Because if South Africa doesn't get it out the mud, South Africa is going to become a nuisance all over Africa and all over the world. The same way that you're not getting it out of the mud. That's why you have become a nuisance, not only in South Africa, but everywhere else in the world. I need you to be brave. And you need me to be brave. And last but not least, the wicked taketh the truth to be hard, and it cutteth them to the very center. You said nothing about any lie I've told. Instead, you misconstrued the truth, and you called it hate.